Hi everybody, and welcome to Lumpkin Listens with Catherine James. If this is the first time you've ever viewed one of our podcasts, make sure you log in and check out on YouTube lumpkinlistens.com. Our last podcast with Commission Chair Rhett Stringer was great. So you'll get a feel for what it's all about, but at Lumpkin Listens, this program was designed especially for you. If you work in Lumpkin County or Dahlonega, this is the program to get all the latest of what's going on, things that you want to know, things that you need to know, and quite frankly, things that you should know. Lumpkin Listens, we take our topics serious, but we don't take ourselves so serious. So this will be a casual environment where we're just having conversations with people in the community. At Lumpkin Listens, we also like to remind everybody to share with your others, share with your contacts, your friends, and make sure you get the word out so people can hear what's going on. We're going to tackle some tough topics. One of the very first things we're tackling today is the University of North Georgia, specifically around the tax digest. What that means is that anytime y'all, that the college and the university buys a piece of property in the state of Georgia, they can actually come in and request an exemption for taxes. So that means that tax revenue loss is typically passed on to taxpayers across the county. Now, if y'all have heard of the Board of Regents, I'll give you a little background. The Board of Regents is the governing body that controls all the higher education that we have throughout the state. But it is the Georgia legislature, the General Assembly, that are the ones that decide on tax policies and tax exemptions. So those are the ones that are making the tax rules. People come to me and they're saying, but Catherine, what's going on? Every time the college buys a piece of property, it comes off the tax digest. That's exactly right. In January of this year, Bellamy Apartments was purchased and the tax exemption went through the tax assessor's office. $20 million in value came off of our digest at that time. One of the most popular ones was the month later when the university purchased Johnny B's, and that hit the papers, and a lot of things went on about that. My guests today are going to be Mayor Sam Norton, as well as Jeremy Sharp, who I have with me today. Jeremy is a graduate student. I know Jeremy's got a lot going on because he's also got a new baby, and he'll be finishing school in December. So welcome, Jeremy, to the program. But what got me interested in inviting Jeremy here is very simple. He wrote this report called the Community Impact Report for UNG. There's tons of information there. We're actually going to make it available on the website. But Jeremy, if you could, let's just dive into why you wrote the report, give the audience a little bit about it, and we'll draw some conclusions and see what we can come up with, y'all, because it is a growing concern. But hold that just a second, Jeremy, because I thought of something else I want to share with y'all. Dr. Mike Shannon, who's president of the college, is doing absolutely the things that anybody else would do. If you guys are like me, the college provides an enormous benefit for our community. Jobs, students spending money here, their parents spending money here, all of those are good things for our community. What has people concerned, though, is when things come off the digest and they're afraid that they're going to have to pick up the taxes. Right now, the Board of Regents may be saying, Dr. Shannon, grow, 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 and he's doing exactly that. So who wouldn't take advantage of not having any taxes? I just wanted to put that out there. All right, Jeremy, if you would, I've got a copy of your report right here, everybody, and we'll have that online for you tomorrow so you can download it, you can read it, and take a look at it. But Jeremy, let's start with just giving us an idea about what caused you to write the report.
Well, the catalyst for this report was the purchase of Johnny B's, and I got involved because a lot of my good friends work for Johnny B's. A lot of my friends go to Johnny B's. It's a community staple, been here for well over 50 years. As a matter of fact, when I went to the Board of Regents, the lady from the Board of Regents said when she went to visit the UNG campus, they took her to lunch at Johnny B's. So it's a community anchor, and recently, from our understanding, the college has the potential to buy it. They're in the process of negotiating. Things are kind of hush-hush on their side. From my understanding, they haven't purchased the property at the moment, but the way things that went about, it caused a lot of commotion. So I wrote this particular report mostly to educate myself as I was advocating for the employees of Johnny B's. I really don't have a background in growth and development. A lot of my policy work has been focused on things like overdose prevention or other aspects of policy. So for me, this was a way to really learn. And what I discovered is that UNG does have a very positive impact on the community, but we have a lot of ambiguity about how much they offer the community, what they give back. For instance, there's $786 million that the UNG says that they give back to the community. That's spread over 15 different counties, right? We don't know how much of that actually goes back to Dahlonega, in particular, to Lumpkin County. And things like professor salaries are included in that $786 estimate. Well, most of those professors don't live in Dahlonega. They live in DeKalb County, they live in Fulton County. So I really wanted to know how UNG helps the community, as well as how much, not necessarily of a burden, but how much the college uses the infrastructure for the county. It could be roads, it could be housing, it could be just the sewer lines, or something like water drainage. There is an impact on how UNG impacts this community, and we really don't know for certain.
Let me ask you something real quick right there. So you said that UNG does give money back to the community, but it's spread out over a bunch of different counties.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know. Do we know how much they give back, or we don't know that yet?
If you look at their website, it says $786 million is
Okay.
how much the university impacts the local communities.
Mm-hmm.
It's how much revenue is generated, and so I just, other than what that number is, I'm really
We
not
don't
sure.
know yet.
Yeah.
Okay. That might be something good down the road for us to look into, to see what actually comes back to us here at Lumpkin County in Dahlonega. Okay, perfect. I know in this report you spend a lot of time on other communities that have actually programs to offset this tax exemption. One of them's called a pilot program, pay in lieu of taxes. Now, pay in lieu of taxes, y'all, is, I'll let Jeremy say it, but there's a federal program as well as state. But maybe describe a little bit about what a pilot program means.
Yeah, a lot of universities up in the Northeast in particular, they do this. Harvard, Yale, some of these bigger universities, they know that when they pull off the property, when they buy up things, that the university has an impact, right? And so anytime they buy a property, anytime they build a new dorm, anytime they're bringing in new students, that all affects the infrastructure. So they've come up with a dollar figure and some sort of equation. So instead of paying taxes to help offset the cost of infrastructure, they give a certain amount each year to that community.
So they give money back to the community.
Directly to the city to pay for things like buses, or there might be a homeless problem, right? Sometimes there are stipulations, but very often it's a broad check and says, here's a check for $5 million this year. Sam, you make this a better community.
Okay. Now, what my research has told me is that pilot programs are done on a voluntary basis. It's not anything, y'all, that the state requires or mandates. So UNG would have to say, hey, Sam, or hey, Dahlonega, or hey, Lumpkin County, we want to do this. There's nothing that would make them, right?
I think the state could possibly be an avenue to compel them legally. I just haven't seen any actions like that done in the past. And so most of these, as a matter of fact, every single one that I came across was a voluntary program.
That's what I thought. That's what I read. Okay. All right. Well, y'all, this is just a great paper to get familiar with the issues, to learn what's going on. I really like the idea of what Jeremy calls town gown growth and development. So the town and the gown, so college and the local town working together to come up with a solution. So as we close this first segment, any specific things to tell our audience about the paper, or your thoughts going forward?
Well, we did a survey. The survey was done on Facebook. the great thing is we got almost 415 respondents, and consistently 80 to 90% of people who responded in the survey said that they were concerned about growth and development, that growth and development had negatively affected them, and that they felt like they didn't have any voice when something like Johnny B's happens, that there was no formal process. So one of the solutions that we presented, and I think this is a very common sense solution, this is done all throughout the state, all throughout the South. It's called a town gown committee. It originated in Oxford, the town and the gown. Each year they have a committee that meets. It could be quarterly, biannually, it depends, and they address issues. It could be parking, it could be fraternities moving into the neighborhood. One issue I noticed is here in Dahlonega, a lot of people are walking from the Bellany. So this town gown could be a non-binding place where the town, the city, and the local people are able to address these issues. For me, I think it would be really important to try and get one of these town gown committees going. Look at an impact study to see how much UNG actually gives back to the community, because my life's been improved by UNG. I know a lot of people have been uplifted by the university, but let's see what they actually give. And also, let's look at what the impact is in the college. And so it might be that they're using our parks, and $100,000 could offset the parks. And I don't think that's happening, but it's just an example of how this town gown committee could be used by our local leaders, the college, and the citizens to address these problems like Johnny B's.
And I like the idea of digging into the details. Y'all, I'm detailed oriented. That's how you get specific. That's how you have measurable results, is you actually put an organization together, committee, whatever you want to call it, and say, here's our goals and objectives, and how do we define success. You can't define success without digging into the details. Jeremy, thank you so much for being with us. Y'all stay tuned. We've got our next guest coming up here in just a minute. Oh, but wait. Like we always do at Lumpkin Listens, we've got a thank you for you. Now, he does not know this, but I was told under very good authority that Jeremy, being the graduate student, likes sweet tea and Red Bull. And y'all, I've got to tell you, I hope that he doesn't drink both of these at the same time. But Jeremy, take this with you as you finish up your studies. Best of luck to you. Thank you so much,
yes,
and
ma'am.
good luck in graduate school.
Thank
you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right, perfect.
Cool.
Thank you. How was that?
Oh, it's
I mean, it's going to be what it's going to be, but I think we're good.
we're still rolling, so I'm gonna get Sam.
Okay, that's it. We're good. Thank you so much. All right, guys, now we're going to move on to our next segment. That next segment includes our Mayor Sam Norton. Sam has served 2 terms and skipped a term, and now he's back for his 3rd term, so we really appreciate Sam joining us. I just want to jump in and say, in April of this year, The Nugget, our local newspaper, to stay on the same theme as UNG, they published a big headlines front page about the impact and their strategic plans for the next actually 5, 10, 20 years down the road. And it was a big article about what they're doing. The Nugget went on to say that this could be viewed as exciting or alarming, depending on who you ask. And Sam was quoted as saying he was shocked to learn about this massive plan of expansion. So, Sam, I would like to start the program. First of all, welcome and thank you for being here. But I would like to start the program, and let's tell our audience a little bit about that article, your impact, your thoughts around it, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, very good. Catherine, first off, thank you for having me. These podcasts are so vital to the community, and it's so hard to get the word out. We do everything we can to entice people to come to city council meetings, but nobody wants to go sit in a government meeting after they've been at work all day. So these are a great venue to get messages out. So the master plan from the college, we learned about that pretty much like the public learned about it. It was presented to us, and we would have appreciated an opportunity to have some input since we are the supplier of all the services to the college. But they did a wonderful job of planning out the college for the next 5, 10, 15, 25 years. but they neglected to get any input from the people that were providing the services for the college. So we were shocked and amazed to see some of the overly ambitious designs they had for the college and growth. Sometimes they say that if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. We felt like we were on the menu. We didn't have an opportunity for any input into that process. So we were shocked by the expansion of the college and in the direction of growth of some city services and utilities and even local businesses that were going to be consumed and probably still will be before it's over with.
And impacted.
Yeah.
I know that there's a rumor, and again, I like to stay with facts, but I'll let y'all know if there are some things that are going around that are kind of hearsay. There's a rumor about the famous Roberta, and Roberta actually, when she passing all of her properties that she owns onto the college. And for those of you guys who don't know, Roberta actually owns and manages over 500 units. That's what my research has told me. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that at all, because that's her choice and it may not be true. We don't know. But any ideas around how to prevent, just what can we do about those exemptions? Because if that comes off, that's going to be a huge impact to our little community.
It will. It'll be detrimental. And that is pretty much out of our purview. We can plan and we can discuss it and we can try to come up with some different scenarios to do if something as catastrophic as that does happen. But the reality of it is she is a private landowner and she can bequeath to her estate to whoever she chooses to. And the college may or may not be that person. We'd have to see if that happens. She is the largest landowner, I believe, private landowner in the city, and so we're very interested in how that's going to play out. So
that makes sense.
It's a very, very good concern, but it's something that you really don't have a lot of input on.
Or control over.
Yeah,
You wouldn't.
correct.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
Guys, before we leave the topic, and just like Sam said, this is not an easy thing to tackle, or else somebody else it would have already been done before. It is not, as far as tax exemptions.
Yeah.
One of the things that in my research that I want to share with y'all is an idea, and it may be full of holes, it may be great, I don't know, I'll bounce this off of you, and this will be the first time. But one idea is, in my research, we have today 48 higher education institutions throughout the state that are managed by the University System of Georgia. Y'all notice I got my red on, Georgia, red and black. It's hard for a yellow jacket to do that. But Lumpkin County themselves, we have a small voice in the whole picture in the scheme of the state. And we're a small community. We're just a small county. But what if we were to team together with those other 48 institutions, have a much stronger, larger voice, and then take our concerns to the governor? I always believe in, if you're going to go to the top. And why not? We wouldn't have anything to lose. It takes collaboration. It won't be easy. It'll take some more research to make that happen. But that may be a solution, y'all, for us, just as a next step, to say, hey, Mike, we realize you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, grow, but we are worried about our future. What do you think?
Well, that's a good proposal. The town and gown concept. The town and gown concept's been around for a while. Our professional organization, the Georgia Municipal Association, is made up of 535 cities. Had an effort for a town and gown collaborative to talk about issues that towns have with higher education institutions. It was a good attempt, but not all town and gowns are of the same concern. For instance, I know at Young Harris they had some issues with Young Harris outgrowing the utility capabilities of the city. And so they had some concerns that Town and Gown couldn't really address. I recently attended a Town and Gown event in Savannah, and it was orchestrated by the Georgia Municipal Association, and it was very good. But what we found out really quick was each city and each institution has a lot of different challenges. We're unique in the fact that east of the Mississippi River, we have the highest ratio of student to citizens east of the Mississippi. We're at a 1-to-1 ratio, one student for one tax-paying citizen, and that's a real challenge for
In
us.
Dahlonega.
In
And that's
Dahlonega,
for
Georgia.
Dahlonega.
The
Y'all, that's
highest,
a big deal. Did you hear what he just said? I didn't know that.
the highest ratio east of the Mississippi. So when you're in the town and gown environment, many institutions, especially south of Atlanta, south of I-20, they've got dormitories sitting vacant, and the leadership in the cities is asking them to open them up to the public. You've got to get people in these vacant dormitories because they can't fill them. We've got just the opposite. So it's hard to put all those people in the same room because they have such a diverse challenges.
Yeah.
In Dahlonega, we've got a problem of too many students for our tax-paying citizens. In my estimation, the city's job is to supply services. Well, whenever we have 8,000 citizens and 8,000 students, then all the tax-paying citizens has one student on their back that they're supplying services for. The students do pay sales tax, but sales tax is a very small amount of money. So if the city did keep 1 cent, which it probably doesn't, we get 20% of loss, 20% of splosh, 20% of splosh tax, and all that adds up to less than a penny. So, when you pave a road for $100,000, it takes a lot of frappuccinos to make up for $100,000.
A lot of pennies, man. A lot of pennies.
But let me just back up real quick and say that I find no fault with the administration of the college. Leadership over there is doing exactly what leadership has been tasked to
That's
do.
the way I look at it, too.
They've been told by the regents and by the state to grow that college, grow that college, grow that college, and that's exactly what they're doing. But what the state doesn't realize is every time they enable the college to grow and take properties off our tax digest, that just gets shifted onto taxpayers' backs.
That's right.
So they're being successful at our expense in many ways. We're grateful that they're there. They're highly successful in growing that college, but they have, you might say, outrun their punt coverage. We cannot continue to supply utilities at that level. So I know your earlier talker spoke of a PLOF, a payment in lieu of taxes. I don't think in the state of Georgia one institution does that, not one.
In the paper that I saw, there wasn't one of them listed from Georgia for that pilot program.
None of these higher education institutions have come to the municipality and said, we would love to give you this
That's right.
money.
Why would you?
We're not
if you didn't have
compelled
to. Or if you didn't have to. Well, let's move on to traffic, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Because I know that I've been in a number of meetings, including city council. We were just all in one last night with a comprehensive plan. Traffic studies came up. They continue to come up. Any updates on the traffic study that was done in October and we're waiting on results? Do we know why it's delayed?
Yeah, well, we're still trying to compile those numbers. I say we. The professionals that are doing it are still compiling those numbers. It's not ready for public consumption. It's not even ready for government consumption. So it hasn't been cleaned up. It hasn't been polished yet and ready to put to the public. One thing we know is whenever we have more people coming to town, like more students, it's a lot of traffic, and we have to deal with that.
I know. It's just now coming back. You can feel it.
I know
it's coming.
It is. So brace yourself, because I think we're going to have more traffic than we did. But with the improvements down at Highway 60 and 400, that'll help a good bit in that intersection. There's roundabouts planned on Highway 9 North, as you know, the Dog Bone roundabout, the double roundabout. Hamp Mill, improvements over that way also. It's going to straighten out some of that. 2 bridges is going to be replaced. A 3rd one is already being replaced. Traffic's going to get worse, not better. So
it worries me because I do know that the commission chair's already met with GDOT. I know in my research, talking to Georgia DOT for Highway 60, and I'm not talking about just the turn, because that turn's going to skinny back down, but for Highway 60 coming into town, they are going to be considering it in 2051.
Correct.
And that's on their spreadsheet. You can see it, and it's public information for everybody. But 2051's a long time. We may
Cal-
have more than one gray hair between us.
Exactly. If we have any hair at all.
If
by
it
then.
is, that's no comment.
Yeah.
But on then to the next topic. So you expect we should get the traffic study hopefully this year
It
sometime?
will be
or-
out later this fall.
Okay.
It's the
Okay.
Regional Commission is polishing it up, so
Okay, good.
it'll be out and ready this fall.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to move on then to the next topic. We also, Sam, we get emails from people asking stuff, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Find out about this. What about this? We're worried about that. This next one came from an email. Are we still promoting tourism as a top priority in Dahlonega?
Yes.
We're a tourism town.
That's it. Our topo doesn't lend us to anything else. There's no rail, there's no water, there's no major interstates through town. So we have to learn a new hustle, and our hustle has always been tourism.
Okay.
And so we're going to continue with tourism. We're highly successful. Still voted the #1 small town in the state of Georgia. We've got festivals, we've got Fox News and Southern Living. We're going to do what brought us to the dance, and that's going to be tourism, and we're going to continue to do it. We love it when people come from out of town, spend that money, and
Yeah.
then go back to where they're from. So that's the best kind of tourism.
That's a good tourist. That's
Yeah,
a good tourist.
that's it.
Well, now I know sitting in some of the city council meetings that you have developed a new committee called a new festival committee.
Correct.
Tell everybody about that. How did that come about? Because
Yes.
we have a lot of festivals. Does
We
this
do.
mean we're going to get more festivals?
Actually,
or what does
we
this
are.
mean?
I understand that Trail Fest may be coming back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that's great. It's a wonderful festival. It celebrates the Appalachian Trail and
Okay.
and all things Appalachia. So that's fun. It will probably hinge off of Bear on the Square, which I think is one of our best festivals. I know I enjoy it more than some of the others, is because it's so authentic.
Yeah.
So the festival committee
Yeah, yeah.
is an advisory committee that we will invite all the festivals to participate in. They'll all have representation. And the reason that we stood up this festival committee is because it appeared that we were just reinventing the wheel at every festival.
Oh,
So
okay.
there's things that we do, we need to do more of, and things that don't work, we need to do less of. So this gives us a venue to get everybody in the room and get everybody on the same page.
Oh, good.
It takes so much to do a festival. It takes public works, public safety, the sheriff's volunteer organization.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have festivals without them. They are so important to our community. Old-fashioned Christmas brings hundreds of thousands
does.
of people to town, and we just got to get all the people in the same room so that we're all talking about the same challenges and opportunities, whether it be marketing or signage, and have one conversation for all the ears to hear.
Okay.
So
So the festival committee, we may be seeing some new festivals. We've got stakeholders from the festivals
Yes.
that'll be sitting at the table.
Yes.
And then I'm assuming tourism. Will tourism be part of that committee as well?
tourism will be, but this is earmarked just for festivals. If I say just for festivals, Old-fashioned Christmas is not really a festival. It's more of a season of a festival. But we need everybody to understand that, when we do detour traffic off of Main Street, there's a correct way to do it, and that needs to be done the same way every time. And with repetition will come perfection, or we will improve the process if we can repeat, the same footprint, the same detours, the same signage, and even something as simple as trash pickup. If you've got to reinvent it for every festival, then you're wasting a lot of resources.
I know one of the things that I've brought up in the past to folks, and I don't know if I brought it up to the right people or not, and I'll just let you guys know this, just scheduling different events throughout the town, whether it was Main Street, DDA, Hancock Park, July 4th Parade, Gold Rush, which is a different group. It felt like I was having to go to a whole bunch of different groups
Yes,
to actually do business with the city. So if there's any way, down the road to just consolidate, or here's your sheet with your contacts, just to make it easy to do business with the city. This way, for folks who are trying to schedule stuff, they have that one point to know then where to go.
Exactly.
They still may be managed by a bunch of different groups, but if it's just easier to know, to take the guesswork out, if you go see Julie at City Hall, but you really need to go see somebody else, Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm putting my personal plug in just
Well,
from
there was-
scheduling stuff.
There was a fellow who wanted to do a festival, and this was a couple of months ago, and he was talking about the challenges. He said, "Well, I probably need to talk to someone in public safety." And I said, "Yeah, and if you're thinking you're going to have 30,000 people, you might need some porta potties, just very
Oh, wow,
basic
yeah.
stuff." And I said, "Maybe you should come to our festival organization committee meeting."
Yes.
And just sit silently and hear some of the stuff that it takes, because these festivals require a lot
Especially
of
the
planning.
big ones,
They
yeah.
take a lot of planning.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's not something you do.
So the
on the
festival
fly.
committee is already underway and
Correct.
rocking
It
and
is.
rolling.
They'll be meeting next week, I believe, or the week after.
Okay. All right. I'm going to switch then to another topic, and some of this may be news to you as well. I've been in a couple of county meetings, of course, city as well, over these last couple of months. There is talk about needing more hotels. So is that something that you agree with? Does the data support it? What do we know about hotels?
I can confirm that there are 3 bona fide hoteliers right now that are actively looking for a location inside the Dahlonega city limits. Do we need another hotel? That's debatable. Is it sustainable? It definitely would be, or people wouldn't be planning on putting, a $12 million hotel in Dahlonega. They tend to do their research before they spend that kind of money. But yes, we are an active hotel market right now. People are trying to find a location and put another hotel.
Another hotel.
Yeah, and there again, that's the public sector. That's free enterprise. That's a demand and a need. Otherwise, they wouldn't be coming to Dahlonega. Somebody recognizes a demand or a need, and they're going to try to fulfill that.
To fill that.
Yeah.
One thing that I would bring up in the meetings that I've been in, I've not seen a lot of empirical data or analysis yet. So maybe these other hotels could start sharing that with us, so we could share with the community. This is what the stats are showing. This is what we need. Because I know currently we have just around 400 VRBOs and Airbnbs. A lot of our residents rely on that for income, of course.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure in any kind of analysis they would take that into account too. They wouldn't just
Yeah.
look at this in a vacuum.
Yeah, there again, with an investment of that magnitude, they're going to do their research. But as far as showing their market analysis, they're not real forthcoming with that.
Yeah, they probably paid for that and they want to keep that
oh,
close
yeah.
to the vest.
That is very
Yes.
expensive. I think our Chamber of Commerce did one that may be public knowledge. It may be a public document. But the ones that are motivating the hoteliers that are determined to come, that's not.
They're doing their own research.
They do their own.
Yeah,
They
that
trust
makes
their own
sense.
numbers.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
One thing I'll bring up, and I want to bring this up to the audience, is in the latest Development Authority meeting, which was literally just last week, y'all, there was a developer who presented a mixed-use development that included 2 hotels, townhomes, assisted living, $2 million homes, 60 to 80 quarter-acre homes, and a Freddy's ice cream and hamburger restaurant. And that was all presented and to be located. And again, it's just high-level conceptual, but that's presented to be right next to and behind the hospital, the new hospital. When that was presented, the hotels were La Quinta and the Wyndham Extended Stay. When I heard about it, and I added it to the other hotels that I'm aware of, y'all, I got to tell you, I did a double take. I was like, whoa, do we need this many? Maybe we need some, but y'all, this is how many I've counted so far, and I'm going to count them to see if I get them all remembered right, okay? The first 2 are the ones that were the Development Authority had this developer present just last week, right there at the hospital. The next one, we've been in discussions, and I say the county's been in discussions a long time with the property behind Home Depot. That may or may not happen. The Marriott was interested in that one. The next one was one in the city limits. The next one, now I'm right here. The next one was the one that the college mentioned, UNG. They actually mentioned building a hotel. Did I miss one? There's also one that the Development Authority mentioned in addition to those. And then the seventh one was at Achesta.
Yes, yes.
And
that's-
so there's some discussions with one at the Chasta. So let me just check my notes, y'all, because I want to make sure I counted right. There's two by the new hospital, one behind Home Depot, one in the city, another one that Development Authority is working, of course, the one that UNG is planning to build, and then one in Achesta. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 7.
well,
Seven.
yes,
Are
but
any of those surprises to you, or
No,
you
not-
know about those, or
not really, because whenever I was the mayor 4 years ago, we had 2 or 3 hotels that were knocking on our door too. It's kind of a foot race, and that's the way it was with the Holiday Inn downtown. We had 2 or 3 hoteliers that were in a foot race to see who was going to get to Dahlonega, and so whoever crosses the finish line next,
yeah?
that'll satisfy that appetite for another 5 or 6 years, I suppose. I don't think we're going to get more than one. In other
More than
words.
one, you don't think?
I think one will satisfy.
Plus the college will do theirs, so that would
I think,
give us maybe
I
2.
think if there's one downtown in the general vicinity of the downtown area, that'll satisfy that appetite, and the college
Okay.
won't do one. There will be no need for them to do it at that point.
Okay.
Yeah. But the college is its own entity.
I know.
Yeah,
Well,
the
that's
college does what
I
the
know.
college wants to do.
I know.
mean, we have no bearing on that whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'll bring up then this one topic, and that is abatements. So
Mm-hmm.
abatements, and y'all, for those of you who aren't familiar with that, those are tax concessions that typically are given to businesses to say, hey, if you come in here, this is a good incentive for you to invest in our local community. We'll postpone your taxes. According to the 2006 Economic Development Plan, we have up to 10 years to actually waive those taxes over that period of time. One of the things that I looked into was that if you think about abatements and you think about the history of Lumpkin County, years ago, y'all, we used to actually, I don't want to say beg, but we used to ask people to come up and invest here. And it was so important for the vitality of our community. But now, just like what Sam is saying, we have a lot of people interested in what we have to offer. They're coming to us. So one of the things I would put forth to think about, and for the community to think about, is do we really need to give away so many taxes as that incentive, especially if they're investing here? If they're investing here and they're interested in here, maybe we don't have to do so much giveaway, if you will, and we actually save the taxpayers that money and bring some more taxes back into the community. One of the things that one of the writers and listeners wrote in along the same lines is the role of the chamber as well as property. They said, would it make sense and would it be feasible for the chamber, logical, to step into any businesses that are vacant or buildings that are unoccupied and have them focus on businesses to fill those vacancies? Because when investors come into town, if they see anybody that's boarded up, it's not being occupied, it's not a good look for us.
Yeah, it's not.
What do you
We've
think about
got
that?
some key properties on the square, downtown Dahlonega, that we need back in the lineup. These buildings were bought 10 years ago, and they've been sitting vacant ever since. And there's nothing more detrimental to your vitality for downtown than empty buildings.
Yeah.
So these buildings, one of them is the oldest building on the square in Dahlonega, and it's very important in a town that the square is on the National Historic Register. It's a very important key piece of property. So we need these buildings back in the fight. It's good to have historical buildings, but it also requires businesses in the buildings that's able to sustain the buildings. So we need these buildings up and running and back on the digest and back on the roll and just contributing to our downtown.
So can we nudge the chamber to move us along and get us some of these things filled, so
Yeah.
that way when people do come in to invest, they're not just seeing. One of the things that I do want to bring up as we get ready to close here in just a minute is as we evolve as a community, there are a lot of people who talk about us being like Mayberry. Now I got to tell you, I love that because I know who Andy Griffith is and I know Opie. But a lot of people now coming to visit us with younger generations don't even know who Mayberry is, unfortunately. Communities I see communities that have shifted to, I would say, marketing to millennials or Gen X's, people with younger families coming in and wanting stuff to do. What are your thoughts around how Dahlonega should evolve over the next 5, 10, 15 years? What about your vision?
Well, I think Dahlonega is very comfortable being Dahlonega. I think Helen needs to be Helen, and Athens need to be Athens, and everybody needs to be who they are. Dahlonega is strong Appalachia. You know, we're the AT Trail, we're wineries, we're Mayberry, as you say. You know, we're wholesome and we're authentic. We're small town, and we're mom and pops. We're not franchises downtown, and that is what makes us who we are. So I don't want to ever lose that in the process. I don't encourage us to ever start chasing commercial ventures downtown or franchises downtown, and do things that change who we are and has made us as successful as we've been. I'm very comfortable being the #1 small city in Georgia. I see a lot of people doing other things. I see them doing open containers. I see them bringing in different tricks, just different things that may or may not stand the test of time. But I'm very comfortable being who we are, and that's the #1 small city in the state of Georgia, just by respecting our historical downtown and our college that's downtown is so important, and we all just need to work together as much as we can, and the county and the city is getting along really good, and we've got the tallest waterfall east of the Mississippi at Amicalola. We just have so much going for us, and we need to be appreciative of that and do things that enhance who we really are.
So then that makes a lot of sense if you think about taking some excerpts from what you said. Not only is it the #1 destination, but we do have a great outdoors with recreation. We could even expand on that with more family activities. We could leverage some of our beautiful scenery, and now the trend is for people to have a healthier lifestyle. I was reading in a couple of workshop ideas. They were going through success stories with refreshing towns. One of the biggest trends are mocktails, and they have a mocktail bar, and so it's just simple for people to come in.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say charging $12 for a sparkling water is popular, but apparently it is. But this way it just seems like a more fresher approach, but it's still very family oriented, and of course for us it would leverage outdoors. One of the things I want to go back to tourism real quick. One of the things that I've talked to people about is the intersection of 460. 460.
Yeah.
When people come into Dahlonega or come into Lumpkin County, they believe that they're in Dahlonega when they first see 460. They don't know that they're still in the county.
Yeah.
And when that happens, to me, it makes sense that as the city continues to define itself, maybe grow and evolve into things that we, like you said, if we're going to stay the way we are, how do we leverage that? What is that theme? What does that look like for short term and long term? To me, it makes sense then for the county to follow suit, because people, and I've talked to this with a number of city council members who all agree, people literally don't say, we're going to take the weekend and go spend it in Lumpkin County. They say, we're going to come to Dahlonega.
Yeah.
So as they come over that hill and they're going north on 400, they get to 60, it would be great if whatever theme, fresh look, or continued themes that we have in the city are replicated there throughout the Long Branch extension and all the way into 60. So this way it reinforces us as being, like you said, Dahlonega being Dahlonega.
Yeah, I understand.
And being something special.
People don't go to Disney to go to whatever town or county that is. They go to Disney to go to Disney. And Dahlonaga's that way. We have a great identity, and for the generations that came before us, they all did a wonderful job of marketing Dahlonega and keeping Dahlonega a respectful place to be. And we're still reaping the benefits of those that went before us that did such a wonderful job.
I will say this, and this is my own personal plug. Anytime we can do things that tie in, that are cohesive between the city and the county, maybe it's my architectural background, I don't know, but I like things to be nice, look nice, have a plan, so that way when they're transitioning from county right into the city, they don't even know. It's
That's
just
right.
one big community that welcomes them, especially as tourists.
Yeah.
The other thing I would say, and Freddy's is probably great ice cream, but y'all, we got one in Dawsonville. I think we can do a lot better with specialty things and things that really help us differentiate us as a community. One of the things that I will say also that I do want to bring up as we wrap up is legacy. Legacy. So you being mayor, is there anything specific that you would like to be remembered
Well,
for or by, or
Well.
besides 2 new grandbabies?
Oh,
So
yeah.
congratulations,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
congratulations. But anything that would stand out, Sam, for you, that if you look back when you finish this journey, what are you going to leave behind for people?
Well, that's a very important question, and that's what motivates a lot of elected officials. You know, what is your legacy? What do you want that to be? And if they're in it for the right reasons, they'll say, I want to leave it better than I found it, or at least as good as I found it. And it's increasingly more and more difficult to find people that are willing to serve. Because it's much easier to blow the train tracks up than it is to keep the train running on time. So there's that. I just hope that whenever it's time for succession and the next group that comes through, that we can leave it in at least as good a shape as it was handed off to us. Because Dahlonega is a wonderful place. Every day that we get up and go to the square and come downtown and see our neighbors and our citizens in the community, I'm grateful to be here, you know, and how people complain. Some people complain about it, and I couldn't think of any other place I had rather be in the state of Georgia. Maybe St. Simon's, but it's hot down there.
Whew.
I'm glad where I'm at, and I just appreciate the opportunity to be of any service and to help any way I can.
So as we wrap up, y'all, I just want to say we've had some great discussions on Lumpkin Listens today. Remember this, I am here for you, for people in the county, for people in the city, to help you. I also want to tell you that you can do your part. You can do your part by having input in what goes on. How do you do that? There's a current survey being taken. It's called the Comprehensive Plan Survey. We will actually have that on our website tomorrow at lumpkinlistens.com. Make sure you fill that out. Secondly, I want to make sure that you listen for our next program. It's going to be September 3rd. It will be with Senator Steve Gooch. People have been asking, what's Steve going to do next? He's from right here in Lumpkin County. So people are very excited to hear what he's got planned and what's going to be on the docket. But there's one more topic that we're going to talk about next month that my email again has been blowing up. And y'all, that's about data centers. Lots of research and lots of talk going on around that. So we'll be digging into data centers. With that, I want to thank Sam. Before we get away and let him get away, we do have something, as we always do, for our guests. So Sam Norton, we appreciate you. We heard that you like hats. Now, you don't have one on right now, but y'all check this out. Sam Norton, the mayor.
Gosh.
Isn't that
Gosh,
awesome?
That's great. I'll
And
wear
look at the
this.
colors.
That's awesome. Red and black. That's great. I love my hats. So thank you very
we
much
heard that
for
you
that.
like hats. So
Yeah.
thank you again very much for. It should be able to.
Yeah.
You should be able to
work
size
on it.
it
Very
for
good.
the right thing. So y'all, thank you again, and remember, we're always listening. We're here for you the first Thursday of every month at lumpkinlistens.com. Thank you so much. Y'all are out. Excellent. Thank you.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
We did okay.
Yeah, thank you for the hat.